Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Betsy Aguirre.
And I'm Arya Lipscomb. We're both seniors here in the Communication Studies Department, and we want to welcome you to the second of today's alumni panels.
On behalf of the Comm Studies Department, we'd like to thank our graduates for coming back to Lutzy Hall. We'd also like to thank our current students for joining us in the studio today, as well as in our overflow rooms.
Today's panels wrap up our very first Comm Studies Week, which began on Monday with the Leadership Lecture Series and has included events such as the Women in Media panel, the Graduate School reception, and a live recording of the Queer Currents podcast right here in Lutzy Studio, and numerous contests and giveaways.
The alumni panel is a great way to end the week as it allows current students to see the path after UNCW. It also lets everyone ask questions and see examples on how we can use degrees after we graduate at UNCW and see how what we do here makes a difference out there. You can also ask more specific questions during our networking session, which will take place after this panel.
We will begin with a few questions from Betsy and myself, and then open things up for the audience to ask questions. Our panelists have been coached to keep their questions and answers brief so that you guys have a chance to ask your own questions.
And we're just going to start off with our panelists introducing themselves. So you're going to start with your name, the year you graduated, and your current position. So we'll start with Zach and just go down the line.
Sure, my name is Zach Shabbat. I graduated in 2001, and my current position is Director of Broker Engagement for Zillow Group.
Hi guys, Casey Gallmer. I graduated in 2005. I am the Senior Account Executive at WSOC TV, the ABC affiliate in Charlotte, North Carolina. So happy to be here.
Hi everybody, Haley Hughes. I graduated in 2007 and I currently work for Your Conference Connection, YCC, and I'm a project manager.
Hi, I'm Alex Moore. I graduated in 2011 and I'm currently the manager of corporate communications for a company called Rubicon Project.
Hi, I'm Stephen Bevels. I graduated in 2010 and my job title actually just changed. I'm the Director of Marketing and Audience Development for WECT News and Fox Wilmington.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes. All right, so we're going to start. Our first question, if you just want to tell us a job summary of like what you do daily.
Sure. It's hard to say. My job changes every day. So I have been with Zillow Group for about 4 months now. And for the last 15 years, I have been in and around real estate. So I've been involved in startups, sales, marketing. I've built technology, built a technology company. Zillow is a big technology company. And so my day-to-day changes from some of it's data analytics, some of it is public speaking, some of it is training, some of it is producing videos, building websites. So it's a lot of different things. So.
All right. So I help local and regional clients with their marketing efforts. So I sell TV, digital advertising. My station is owned by Cox Media Group, so we serve a wide plethora of clients. So I feel like my daily schedule changes just like yours, which helps keep me on my toes. I love it.
So for me, association management, I'm actually new to my position. So I was actually in hotels for quite a few years. And it was actually there in hotels that I realized that a huge event, probably 80% of the event-driven business here in Wilmington was through associations. So associations, it can be everything from managing their website, their marketing, to planning their entire conference. So we've got a huge team and we all kind of wear a lot of hats, so it's never a dull moment in my day.
Awesome. I work in corporate communications, which is basically internal and external communications for my company. So a day for me basically starts off with checking to see what's in the news, what's being said about my company, what's being said about other companies in our space, find out if there are any new reporters that are writing about us, pitching them if I have something interesting to say, following up on pitches that I sent out yesterday or the day before. And then on the flip side of that, it's also internal communications, so briefing our team on, are we acquiring a company? Are we launching a new product? Are we preparing an earnings statement? Anything that's going on internally that the rest of our team needs to know about. So it's good. It's like you guys said, it's never the same thing twice, so I love it.
I work in broadcast media in a different capacity from Casey. I'm in charge of making sure that our news product is marketed freshly every single day, that our digital products are marketed freshly every single day, that our commercial production clients are happy. I have a team of 8 people, and we each serve in a different capacity. I have 2 producers that work in news. I have 4 producers that work in commercial production and client relations. And I have a digital marketing manager who works with me, and then of course there's myself. So just like everyone here, my day changes daily. So that's pretty much what I do.
Nice. We have such a wide variety today.
Very.
So our next question is, if you can name some examples of how the Comm Studies department has helped your position or and any position you've worked on since you graduated. And Casey, we'll start with you.
Absolutely. So I would say that communication studies was a blessing for me because it helped me become very versatile. So I started off at WECT as a very green reporter, so did that for 2 years, and just really thought that that's all I wanted to go for. And then I got a little travel bug in me and moved to the Virgin Islands. So I was in St. John for a year and then have been at WSOC for the last 8.5 years. And I think what this department helped me so much in being able to be okay with reinventing myself, I think was huge, yes. Trying to keep my answers short. I can ramble.
I know. hit me if I keep going.
Like I said, they've been coached. We told you guys. This is it right here.
I think for me, and kind of piggybacking, I guess, off of the last question, for example, I think this new job, I'm using my degree the most that I've ever. For a typical day like today, I had to write a press release. It was part of our marketing campaign for releasing a new track that we're going to be introducing at an upcoming conference. I was going through a script and adding in some give or take here and there. Was working with a creative director because we're going to be doing some filming for promotional videos for the conference. Then I facilitated a call today for the EPM community who is having some struggles, managing all their people and members and trying to get people involved. So there was a little conflict management in there as well. So again, it's all over the place. Everything from behind the scenes on camera to kind of having to jump in and write a press release. All the time, I feel like I'm using my comm degree.
Yeah, same. I would agree with that too. And this department really taught me a lot about working with people, collaboration. But I think the biggest takeaway for me was it kind of taught me how to be a storyteller. So no matter what I'm working on, whether it's like a press release, a byline article, if I'm producing a video, if I'm planning an event, I'm looking at it from a storyteller perspective. Like, what's missing? What would somebody who knows nothing about this announcement, what would they need to know here, and how do I kind of weave that in so I'm telling a fulsome story?
I believe that the well-rounded approach that I was given in my education has really benefited my career. I thought when I graduated school, as a video production, graphic design, broadcast kid, I would never need to know how to write a press release. I would never need to know professional writing, and boy, was I wrong. I do it every single day. So just having a well-rounded educational experience has really benefited me in my career.
Awesome.
Sorry, I didn't know if you wanted to say something. Go ahead. All right. I would say the 2 biggest classes for me that came out of my comm studies majors, public speaking was huge. I've used that for literally public speaking, speaking on stage, speaking in front of organizations, presentation skills. The more and more things are on video, the more things that are recorded, it's become even that much more important. So that was a big one. And then interpersonal communication for me was a big one because you learn about people who have different communication styles and they like receiving and processing information differently. And so for me, whether it was in sales or marketing, if you're trying to develop a campaign, you have to figure out that everyone is processing this differently. And so for me, those were the two biggest ones that I use to this day.
Awesome. And that kind of segues into our next question, just asking what core classes from comm really help keep you competitive in your field that you're in right now?
Oh, me? Okay. Yeah. Actually, yeah, piggybacking off of you, interpersonal is huge. I actually find a lot that in all of the positions that I've had and jobs that people actually have come to me to kind of help interpret situations or kind of mediate or guide through, or like, hey, how do you think this person's perceiving this? Or I think a great thing was just even your audience, like really looking at, you know, before you're writing a press release or something, like who's going to be reading this? I mean, that's so relevant to how you're going to approach everything. So interpersonal, public speaking, the storytelling, that was a great thing. I mean, I did performance of lit. We're all typically calm people, we're talkers, you know, but it's nice that we learn how to polish ourselves, and so that's been very, very helpful. I'm still working on it. You get rusty. And that's another thing, speaking of being rusty in writing, he is so true about writing. And I have had, you know, over the past 11 years, you know, a lot of different jobs. Right now I'm having to jump back into writing. I was writing all the time, and you do get rusty. So that's one thing I would recommend is if you're writing and you're good at it, like keep it up and, you know, just continue to practice. You may be in a job for 3 or 4 years that you're not writing a press release, but try to stay up on the trends and those things, because then you'll get a new job after you have a baby like me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to like remember and go back into the archive on how to do all of this. So
yeah, I think interpersonal was a big one for me too. I was actually at the gym like a couple weeks ago, and I left my towel on like whatever machine I wanted to use, and then I walked away and I came back and claimed my machine because my towel was there. And I thought we talked about that in interpersonal communication like 10 years ago. It stays with you. It's incredible. The other one that I was going to say was the capstone class. I learned a lot in that class about how to just kind of take your experience and, you know, apply it to a job that you want. How to be able to speak to the work that you've done and apply that to the role that you're kind of going out for. So that was a huge one for me too, especially in terms of getting the job that I have now. Actually, probably getting most of the jobs that I've had.
Has anyone said research methods yet? No?
Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I actually, I use what I've learned in research methods almost every day, and you wouldn't think so from someone who does a job like mine, but every day I'm given what are called ComScore reports, and it's quantitative research. And having learned to look at the numbers and be able to tell a story with those numbers has really just absolutely been beneficial.
Yeah, I want to say the storytelling classes for me were huge, and I know that seems a little vague maybe, and oh great, what are we going to talk about telling stories? But for me, it is, like you said, is when you work in a technology company, making sense of, you've got all these guys who crunch numbers all day, and they don't understand how to put things in context. So there's a big difference between data and insight, and I think for everybody in this room, you can provide context for all of those numbers and all the consumer insights that all these companies produce. So that's huge for me, was the storytelling. That was one of my favorites.
Mine is 100% public speaking. So I feel like from the moment I was born, I was like, give me a microphone. Like, just give it to me. I want the microphone. And I just knew, like, since I was in elementary school, I was like, there is no other job for me besides being a reporter. And so I come here, I'm stoked. I go to take public speaking with Dr. Bollinger and then get up to do my first speech. And it was the definition of awful. Like, everything started shaking. I like could not even get words out. And I see Dr. Bollinger in the back of the class, and he'll say to this day, he thought I was going to pass out. And so I'm just like violently shaking, and I'm like, oh my God. And so I just had to stop. And it rocked me to my core. I'm like, wait, I'm gonna be a reporter though. Now I'm scared to talk in front of people. And to go through the process with Dr. Bollinger and learn, okay, like what was making me feel like that? Like, and he built me up so much, and just to learn about the background and the science behind public speaking was huge. It helped me conquer this massive, like, newfound fear, which is still very odd to me that happened. And then went on, and I used it, I've used it every day, like from reporting to, I went and I feel like I watched Cocktail one too many times and became a bartender in the Virgin Islands. And so learning to deal with clients, you know, in that perspective, and then in sales, I mean, every single day, you have to be able to be confident and very, you know, versatile on your toes. And so I think that was probably the one course. All of them shaped me, but when I look back, that shaped me the most.
Awesome. So if there's anything that you would do differently during your time as a, I still like that face, the comm studies undergraduate, what would it be? And we'll start with Alex this time.
I really wish I had interned at a PR agency. I did an internship. At the time I thought I was going to go more into like nonprofit hospitality kind of stuff, so I actually interned for here in Wilmington Downtown Inc., which was a great organization. They did a lot of really great work, but I wish that, and I eventually did, when I got to grad school, I interned for an agency and learned what it was like to make a media list and to write a pitch and to, you know, put out announcements and follow up and secure coverage. But I wish I had done that as an undergrad student so I could have learned that skill set sooner.
I wish that I would have taken more courses in graphic design and motion animation, mainly because I came out thinking that I was prepared because I knew how to write and I knew how to produce videos. But little did I know that our industry was changing into where they want anyone who is running a campaign or producing a campaign to do everything, from writing to shooting to graphic design to editing to audio design, everything. So I wish that I would have invested a little bit more of my time before going into the workforce, really honing in on my graphic design skills.
That's a good one. That's so true. For me, I wish I would have done a little bit more on international studies, international communication, multicultural. I didn't do enough of that. When I was in school, I didn't care that much. I didn't care about what happened outside of Wilmington or outside of like what's happening Thursday night. And so I wish I would have taken more time to learn and study different cultures. And then the other one is, I looked at the catalog the other day, conflict management and debate, something like that. I don't do well with conflict. I hate it. I don't like to argue. I like everyone to be harmonious and feeling great about what they're doing. But I realized that conflict is good because when you work in a company where everyone's part of a big team and you're trying to collaborate and do things, conflict is okay because it brings some things to light that you may have not otherwise considered. And so for me, I wish I would have forced myself to do a little bit more with that, conflict management and debate.
I wish I would have studied abroad. Keeping it short and simple.
For me, definitely piggybacking with you, you know, and Professor McKinney, if you're out there, I wish I paid better attention in your desktop publisher class because it is still haunting me to this day. Right now, like he said, you know, people, you're being hired and you're writing press releases and you're on, you know, website management and doing all of this. And if I was more savvy with graphic design and all of that, it would definitely. I'm learning a lot now in my older age, but it would have been a lot more beneficial to just know it a little better.
Awesome. Yes, I'm sorry. Everybody was like looking at him and I was like, oh my goodness, did you not answer? I'm so sorry. But this was our last question that we have. So I hope you guys were thinking, you're like, I got a question, I'm ready. So our last question is, we kind of delved into classes just a little minute ago. If you can think of any of electives that you wish you would have taken or that helped you that don't specifically pertain to what you're doing right now, what would that be? And we'll start with you.
Electives that I wish I would have taken. I wish that I would have taken more theater courses, actually, because of I didn't know and I didn't think, you know, of course, being a production guy, I would have to get up in front of a lot of people and give presentations. But I have to do it on a bi-monthly basis now. And the ones who stand out to the leaders within our company are the ones that can charismatically get up in front of people and speak and have a theatrical flair about them. So I wish I would have taken more theater courses.
I would say I wish I would have taken more business classes because I avoided finance and economics and numbers and pretty much anything science. I avoided it at all costs. I had no interest. I wish I would have forced myself to do that. But one thing that was interesting, do you mind if I share this? So one class that I took outside of comm studies that was more helpful than anything else was Intro to Poetry. And I know you're gonna be like, what? This guy is on dope. Like, so no. So
I met my future wife.
yeah, right. No, right. I write greeting cards. Yes. No, so Intro to Poetry. It told me about how to use words thoughtfully, and I think that was really, really important because when you're trying to write something that's 15 words long, every word matters. And so, writing emails, when I develop presentations, for me, that was a course that taught me a little bit more about how words work. And so, there's a little offbeat one for anybody who's willing to try it.
A course that has proven very beneficial for me was Intro to Sign Language. And I'm not sure if you guys still offer that, but at the time it was something that I'd never taken before. It was so outside of my comfort zone. And it was very challenging for me. And I remember doing our final presentation and you had to sign a song, and I did a song from My Fair Lady. I could have danced all night. And when I finished, I have never been more proud of something here ever before because it was very challenging for me. And as soon as I was done to look at the classroom and look at my professor, it was Dr. Lanier, and just, they were in awe, and it was such a great moment for me. And so I think that has helped me in my career when I'm up against, a client who just does not want to buy me. And I'm like, but this makes sense for you. I remember back and I'm like, wait, I got this, I am confident I can do this. And it's definitely been momentous for me in my career.
I did a lot of courses that were on camera, storytelling, advanced public speaking. I even did a lot of theater, but I now I'm kind of getting to dabble in film a little bit with my current job. Wish I did a little bit more of behind the scenes and just kind of know. I actually had to hold, a boom mic the other day when we were filming, and I'm like, I didn't know what was going on. It was so exciting, but that would have been probably not only fun but beneficial. I would never have thought I would be able to apply that now.
I don't know what I wish I would have taken. I liked all of the electives that I took, but the one that really stands out was personal finance. Just to learn what a 401k is and how it's different from a Roth IRA and how, I don't know, mortgages work and interest rates and all. I mean, that was invaluable when I started my adult life.
Adulting is hard.
Yeah, adulting is hard.
Especially all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am definitely wishing that I took that course now.
I am too.
Well, thank you guys again so much for your insightful answers. We can get a round of applause again for them. So now we're going to open up the questions to the audience. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand, and Aria or myself will come and give you a microphone. Also, when you ask a question, please stand so that way our panelists can see who's speaking. And Aria's with our first question.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sharita, and I just wanted to ask you guys that one of our core classes here is comm theory. So I was just wondering, how did that class help you guys?
You are great.
So I am going to be so very honest here. I have to be honest. And please don't be mad at me. I don't remember the course.
Yeah. And that's
I
also for a lot
apologize.
of the courses. It has nothing, they've all made their mark, but when you say the title of a course, I would have to reference the description. So if you could tell us a little bit about what comm theory encompasses, then maybe we could be a little bit more helpful.
We're a little old.
Yeah, it's been a while. Like I said, we ever go back into the archives.
I have a comm theory story because I had Dr. Pullum.
Come in and
And
save us.
the one thing I took away from that was this thing called the Abilene Paradox, which was about this. There was this video that we watched about these people that were really hot in Texas, and they all went to Abilene to have dinner, even though none of them really wanted to, because nobody really spoke up to say I don't want to go, even though none of them did. So, and I've seen that a lot in my career so far, where everybody kind of like gets on this path where they know that it's not the right thing to do, but nobody for whatever reason feels comfortable saying that, and so you waste a lot of time and money on something that was completely inefficient. And so yeah, I've sort of learned now to say my piece, and if I get overruled, I get overruled, but at least I've said something. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, we have another question.
Hi, so I know that we've talked a little bit about being nervous about talking in front of people. So I just wanted to know if there's any sort of advice that you give to us about conquering that fear.
Oh, I don't know if this is appropriate, but I do have a little trick to tell you.
Okay.
Gosh, yeah, I want to make sure. Yeah, I'll say this. So when you are speaking in front of someone and you start to feel like your chest is tightening, squeeze your tush, sorry, because it pulls your energy down, and so it opens up your airwaves so you're able to breathe a little easier. So I would say that is like a little technical, like slightly inappropriate answer. I love you all. But I think also knowing that it's okay if you're nervous, and even to take, a pause and say, gather yourself and breathe a little bit and start back into it. I think it's okay to be nervous and to have those jitters, and know that a lot of people are going to feel the same way you are. So.
I have a question right over here.
All right, so my question is for Alex. I was really interested whenever you said that you get in contact with different journalists who are planning on writing pieces on the Rubicon Project, because it's such a big organization and industry. I was actually going to ask you, have you ever gotten any bad press releases from journalists and you had to interact with them? And if so, how did you handle that?
Yes, all the time. Yeah, it's, you have to always keep in mind that you're dealing with somebody that can ultimately write, has, freedom of the press. They can write whatever they want to write about your organization. My basic strategy is to make sure that I'm correcting any information that's inaccurate. So I have to proof it for accuracy. Sometimes they write things that are harsh but fair, and I don't really have a lot of ground to stand on. So from there, it's sort of a matter about, you kind of take your lumps, and then you turn around and hit them with a really positive story or a thought leadership piece. Hey, I saw you wrote this thing. Listen, I'll put you on the phone with my CTO. He's got a lot of really great things to say about that, and you can kind of turn it there to be more of a positive. Does that answer your question? Okay.
I also have another one from the front row.
Hello. With the understanding that comm degrees diversifies, obviously this panel is reflective of where a comm degree will take you. In retrospect, looking back, is there a possibility that you may do to specialize your comm degree to go to graduate school? Like everybody's here is went different ways, and a few people here had some ideas about where specializing would have been further your careers. Anybody here decided to or planning on getting a graduate degree in communications?
I'll answer this one. No. I loved school, but I did not love being in class. And so no, I had no interest, and I learn all day, every day. I take as much little tidbits of education that I can get. I have no interest in going back full time.
Go ahead.
In our industry, our CEO has a bachelor's degree. So the sweet spot in the broadcast industry, which I absolutely love, is having a bachelor's degree. Everyone who has a master's, there's someone parallel to them that has a bachelor's. So.
And I think too, I've heard versatile has been used a lot, and I think that's one thing that's amazing about this degree. I've had quite a few jobs. I started in selling promotional products, then I was a wedding coordinator, and then I was the director of catering at a hotel, and now I'm doing association management and conference planning. So it's all over the place, and I think being able to dabble in so many things, I personally did not feel the need that I needed. I think if there's certain jobs where if you want to be a dentist, you have to be in that lane, but with this, I feel like it gives us a lot of options, and certainly I've never felt it was monotonous, my career, because I've been able to wear so many hats.
I have several friends who have communication studies degrees from other universities, and you have no idea how many times they say that they're jealous that I came here because they were just public relations, just marketing, just broadcast journalism. And so for me, I was like, I'm going to be a reporter for the rest of my life. It only lasted for 2 years. And so thank goodness that I had other classes where I'm like, well, wait, what else am I passionate about? And went into a completely different direction. So I feel like you guys are in just the best spot ever. But I would have to say no for myself as well for sales. I would not go back to get my master's.
And I commend anybody that would, wants to further their education. So I'm not, saying don't go get your master's. But I think, to get your master's, I think you really would want to be sure for the investment to know, okay, this is the lane that I want to be in. I'm going to stay in this lane. But, that's not life. I mean, you are constantly changing lanes without even knowing it. I had a baby and decided I needed to make a career change, and I was quite happy where I was. So.
Awesome. We have one other question.
Hello. My question actually kind of relates to what you guys were talking about. How difficult is it to get a job in something that you didn't necessarily intern for? And how did you overcome that if you did?
I feel like I'm talking a lot. I'm like, I'll say that I did intern for news. So I was very persistent. They did not hire me when I graduated, and I went and told the news director, well, I'm just going to keep coming every day to the morning meetings and pitching ideas and until you hire me. And he's like, you can't do that, like insurance purposes, like you can't just like ride along. And I was like, well, that's fine, I'll just drive my own car. And he was like, well, you can't touch any of the equipment. I was like, that's cool, I'll just help write stories. And he's like, good. And it lasted for a week, and he was like, fine, you're hired. But I interned. So getting into sales, I had no sales experience. I was coming back from like a year in the Virgin Islands. So it was very challenging for me to get back into, the big girl job, if you will. It took me probably a year of really investing so much time, and it was a struggle. It was hard. And I would say what got me into this job is I was like, I'm not going to take no for an answer. So I did like really crazy things, like mailed the director of sales like top 10 reasons why to hire Casey Gomer. Like I came in and
That's so funny.
oh, see, we are just like so much alike.
Pick me.
Yes, and I came in with like a full list of like, here's all these clients that I'm going to call when you hire me. So I did things a little bit outside of the box because everybody's going to send in resumes, but what's going to make yours stand out? And I was just very confident. And even though I was really scared, and it worked for me.
I think any internship that you take is just going to show an employer that you've taken an extra step to learn what it's like outside of these walls, and I think that's huge. So I did an internship at Baseball America, which was a newspaper that covered college athletics, and then I went into real estate, and so that had nothing to do with anything. The other thing that I will tell you is if you can get an internship in your field, you may find out that you hate it. So quick story, so a friend of mine graduated before me, and at the time when I was graduating, everybody was going into pharmaceutical sales. That was like the thing to do, right? So he got into this. I went and rode with him one day. I got on the only suit that I had. So I put on my suit, dressed up.
Com 400.
Yeah, right, And so I dressed up, I get up early, and I figured that's what I was gonna go into. And I hated it. It took one day. I was like, this is miserable. I have no interest in this whatsoever. But I learned that in my senior year, so I didn't learn that after I graduated and then try to figure it out. So, yeah, sometimes you realize that you may not want to do what you thought.
And I think, being able to spin relevance is a big thing. Like, I started off in promotional sales, and that, my mom's like, she sells pens. I'm like, Mom, it's a little bit more than that. But, But, okay, so I knew I wanted to get into events and event planning. And so, part of that was, okay, well, I have sales experience. So pitching when I interviewed, at the hotel to, okay, yes, I was selling pens, but I do have relevant sales, experience. And another thing, volunteering, we can't always get, an internship. But there are a lot of amazing nonprofits that are constantly looking for talent. And that's one thing that I did. I volunteered on a lot of nonprofit committees and helped plan galas and golf tournaments and all of this. And yes, you know, that was me volunteering my time, but all of a sudden I had this nice little list of, you know, oh, you just graduated and you don't have any event experience. Well, actually I do, because I worked on this, and this. So that, you know, trying to bring relevance to the things that you are doing to apply to what you want to do. And then, you know, if you can't get an internship, look at what's out there from a volunteer standpoint. There's always people looking for help with writing, events, things like that.
And you never know who is involved with
Exactly.
that group.
And that was my connection. It was because somebody said, oh, that girl, she did great on that. And you have to know somebody sometimes.
Have your shoe in. Yep.
Well, as a hiring manager, I personally don't care where you've interned. I just want to see what you can do. That's my short answer.
Yeah, and standing out, that was a great thing. I mean, when I was hiring people, like, what about this resume is jumping out at me? And that could just be, you know, some little graphic. There was one girl that had an amazing gold envelope, and I felt so important when I received her, you know, received it. It was beautiful. It was like this gold envelope, and now this was also for a wedding coordinator position, so it fit the. Yeah. I'm not saying send gold envelopes. This, you know your audience, but you know, something that makes you stand out.
All right, and we have one more.
Hi there. So you all talked about things that you may consider you have changed had you gone back to school, like going into finance or taking different courses. What are some of the do's and don'ts you'd recommend to us comm majors that we take care of or look into prior to entering the workforce?
I'll give you one. Do is a do. You said do's or don'ts, so I'm going to give you a do. Keep writing. Right now, we have such a need for people who are very good writers, who write well, who can write long stories. There's so much focus that's happened lately on social media messaging and quick hits, but the things that we find that gets the most traction, the most shares, the most everything are really well-written articles. So keep writing, because we can't find enough people for that right now. So that would be one. That would be one do.
Something I would suggest as a do is have examples ready to go. That's what employers want to see. They don't want you to tell them that you know how to do this and you know how to do that. They want to see proof, which is what is usually covered in your capstone courses. So keep that updated.
You could never be over-prepared or overdressed. It just shows that you are taking it very seriously. I mean, when I've had people come in for an interview in flip-flops and a sundress, I'm just like, how do you take, you can't take them seriously, you know? And then you have somebody that comes in a suit with their binder, with these examples. It's like, okay, this is somebody that's gonna show up on time. They're gonna be prepared. It's just, you're giving them examples of how you're going to be as a potential employee.
Not to sound like your mom here, but do watch your social media.
Yes.
Please. 100%. I know that you think it might not be a big deal, but you know, I've been at my TV station for 8.5 years, and any new salespeople coming in, that is the first thing my managers look at, and then they'll even call me and they're like, "No, what is this person doing?" And so I would say, please, please, please try to clean up your social media. And have it look a little bit professional, or do the trick where you hide so you're not searchable. But please, please do that, because I think I'm seeing a lot more now. It's more prevalent now than it's ever been at my TV station, at least. So I would say that's a tip. Keep going. No.
I would say don't be afraid to do something that maybe on paper doesn't quite look like it's what you're trying to do. Because like I started my career with an internship in social media. I had no interest in really doing social media as a career, but I thought this will be cool and I'll learn something. And so I kind of put myself out there, found a company that I really loved, and was able to be hired full time and kind of start growing there. So I think don't limit yourself is a don't that I would throw at you.
Awesome. We have another question?
Hi. So I'm just starting to start my interview application process of internship application process, and a lot of the qualifications listed in a lot of the businesses, they want actual marketing majors instead of IMC focused communication studies major. What would you suggest as graduate students that have already gotten into a field for setting yourself apart from actual marketing majors and proving your qualifications for a job in sales rather than just being a business major?
I think you have to hit the question head on. I mean, if that's one of the requirements, you have to address it early on, because otherwise if they'll just skip right over, oh no, not a marketing major, forget it. So you have to address it and address why it won't matter, or why you bring a certain, I don't know, some other level of competency to that position.
I don't think people, I mean, not everyone's so as knowledgeable. I mean, we're in comms, so we know what we all do, but not every employer does. So I think, like you said, if you address it right in the beginning and then have examples or things that show, you know, how you could apply it, then I think that it would be fine.
I think that one advantage that you don't realize that you have over a marketing major is that you know how to present yourself. Mm-hmm. You know how to speak out for yourself much more than someone who mainly focuses on the business end.
Anyone else? Final thoughts? No? Okay, so one more round of applause before our final question. So we have one more question just from Aria and myself. If you could just sum up your experience here at UNCW as a communication studies undergrad in one word, what would it be?
Chameleon.
That's
good. Right.
Okay.
Yep.
That
Yep.
So I was going to say versatile, but we've said it so much. So I'm like, wait, I can't just like go out on that. Golden.
Multifaceted.
That's 2 words.
No, it counts. It's hyphenated.
It's hyphenated.
I want to hyphenate too. Can I?
Rule breaker.
Yeah, I was life changer.
Sleepy. No, not the classes. Not the classes. I stayed up late editing a lot.
That is real. All right, guys. Well, it looks like we're out of time, but again, we just want to thank our panelists for their great responses and just giving us some insight and just sharing your experiences like we can't thank you guys enough. So thank you. Let's just give them one more round of applause, guys.
So we invite you guys to come to the main lobby in Lutzy Hall for the networking session with our lovely panelists. They'll be there until 2:30, and it's a really good networking opportunity for you guys, so we hope you guys take advantage of it.
We want to thank all of you for making today's panels and all of this week's events such a great success. Thank you for your support during the first ever Comm Studies Week, and we just hope you guys have a great afternoon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.